أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد وإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثات بدعة وكل بدعة دلالة كل دلالة في النار. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers. Welcome back. This is week number 2 of your course on fiqh. And last week we saw, of course, that's my social media presence for those of you who are interested to subscribe or join. Last week we saw the importance of seeking knowledge, the virtues of seeking knowledge as an introduction, as a first class. And we said your course will comprise Zakat, Siyam, and Umrah. The third and fourth pillars of Islam and Umrah. The fifth pillar, we said you will do it next level, in level 4. We looked at the definitions, both the language meaning and the istilah meaning of Sharia, of fiqh last week. And we said the Lughat al-Arabiya mana is to understand something. And we get this example where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses that meaning in the Quran in Surah Taha. And then the istilah meaning is the knowledge of the rulings of the Sharia along with their specific evidences. And we also looked at these differences, or some differences between Sharia and fiqh. And we said a person should remember this or keep this in mind, especially a difference number 2, and he should accommodate ikhtilaf, differences of opinion, and so on and so forth. I think we stopped around there. We looked at the pillars of Islam, and we said the reason we're putting this up is because what we're going to study are part of the arkan of Islam. But having said that, the more important point is that Bunya al-Islam ala khams, the building of Islam, the structure of Islam is built upon 5. It is not the 5 pillars. No, Islam is beyond the 5 pillars. Yeah, but these 5 pillars are core, are integral to the structure or building of Islam. Now, so let's start with Zakat. We didn't start last week. We just stopped at that point. So the first topic we're going to do in your course is the third pillar of Islam, which is Zakat. All of you, alhamdulillah, inshallah, give Zakat. You know what is Zakat. You know it means giving certain wealth out and so on and so forth. Now, but look at this in great detail, inshallah. And I'm sure you'll have a lot of questions as well. And I will try to answer them, inshallah, bi'ithnillah, in the light of the Quran and the Sunnah. Because always we face this, especially when Ramadan comes across every year. People start asking questions on Zakat. Can I give Zakat to the hospital? Can I give Zakat to this? Can I give Zakat to my wife, to my husband, and blah, blah, blah. There's so many questions surrounding with Zakat, which is good because which means people are interested in giving Zakat, first of all. And second of all, they are careful about what they give, whom to give. They're extra careful, which is good, which is a good sign, alhamdulillah. So in Zakat, we're going to look at some subtopics or sub-agenda topics, whatever you want to call them. The definition, first of all, we will look at the hukum. As we said, everything in Islam, or rather everything in your life has a ruling in Islam. Now, the benefits of Zakat, shurut, conditions. Every act of worship in Islam has shurut, has conditions. If you remember, we studied Salah earlier in level 1 with me, and level 2 also. I'm sure you did other aspects of Salah, Salah al-Jum'ah. I think you may also discussed tayammum and so on and so forth. Yeah, all these are acts of worship, right? Every act of worship, if you recall, we talked about conditions for Salah. So for example, the person should be a Muslim. His aura should be covered. He should be in a state of tahara. He should be facing the qibla, and so on and so forth, right? So there are certain shurut for every act of worship. Likewise, for zakat, there are also conditions, shurut. So we'll look at that. Why is this important? Because if the conditions are not fulfilled, the act of worship is either not required or is null and void. If the conditions are not fulfilled, the act of worship is either not required from you, or it is batil, it is null, it is void, it is not accepted because some condition was missing. Right? So salah, for example, if a person prays without wudu, in a state of najasa, or he is not in tahara, he's not tahir, his salah is not accepted. Right? So that's what I mean. That's why it's important to understand conditions and what are the conditions for each act of worship. We'll also look at what forms of wealth is zakatable, if you want to call that. I don't know if it's a word actually, but on what forms of wealth zakat is due. Yeah. What do I have on which I should be able to give zakat? Because on certain forms of wealth, there is no zakat. And we'll see that inshallah. And finally, we'll look at whom to give zakat to. The most important point, not the most important, but the point on which we have most questions. Whom can I give zakat to? Right? Who are the recipients, the valid recipients of zakat? So these are at a high level the topics which we'll cover under zakat. So first and foremost, definition, the manner. So like we saw in other areas, zakat also, this word is an Arabic word. It's an Arabic word, yeah. So it has an Arabic language meaning, which means to make something pure, or to idafa, to grow something, to add something extra, or to grow something. Ustad, when I give zakat, my bank balance is decreasing. Because we said, if you remember, that the istilah meaning, which is coming next, it doesn't change the linguistic meaning, but rather it makes it more specific and more focused to that act of worship. But here we said zakat, the language meaning, the logatul Arabiya mana, is to purify something or to grow something. But when we give zakat, actually what is happening when we see our bank balance, it decreases because I give out money, or I give out gold or silver or whatever, yeah, or camels or cows, it seems to be decreasing. But no, it is because the barakah in what is left behind increases. That is where the growth is, in the blessing. And brothers, blessing is something which is invisible. You cannot see blessing. You cannot see barakah. This word you must have heard a lot. It gets thrown around a lot. Make especially in wealth. Let me give you an example. Let's say somebody draws a salary of, I don't know, 5,000 riyals. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses his wealth. There is barakah, invisible. Right? And at the end of the month, this brother, from that 5,000 riyals, he sent back home certain money to his family, whatever. He spent on certain bills and his own expenses, and he saved some money. 5,000. Another brother, he earns, let's say, 20,000 riyals. 20,000. Huge amount of money compared to 5,000. But even before the end of the month, he has to borrow money. He doesn't have money left. And the most surprising part is he does not know where the money has gone. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took away barakah from that wealth. This is barakah. You see? Like the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What did he say, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when we eat? He said to eat, we eat from one plate, right? From one, let's say a big plate, all gather around and we eat. And what did he say? Eat from the portion which is close to you. Don't put your hand in the middle of the plate or the other end of the plate. Eat from the portion close to you. Why? Because barakah descends in the middle. When you eat something, do you see anything coming down from the top? No. So barakah, brothers, is something invisible. But there is barakah in wealth, barakah in health, barakah in food, barakah in family, barakah in the house, barakah in your car. A person has a car for 50 years, not a single scratch. Another person has a car for 1 week, 2 accidents. This is barakah. How to get barakah? This is a different topic. Yeah, but if you want interested, go back to my series on Kitab al-Tawheed. We covered this in great length. We had a full session on barakah. You will find it on my channel and the playlist Kitab al-Tawheed. Taib. Let's move on, inshallah. So the istilah, technical or the juridical meaning of this word zakat, obligatory sadaqah. Obligatory, fard, wajib, due on wealth, given under certain conditions to specific persons at a specific time. Again, obligatory charity or sadaqah, due on wealth or certain forms of wealth, yeah, given under certain conditions. So there are shurut, not always. There are certain conditions to be fulfilled before you can give zakat. To specific people, not any Tom, Dick and Harry, specific people. And not any time around the year, at a specific time. So beautiful definition, very concise, very specific, and it covers everything. And we'll talk about each of these points, inshallah. So that is the definition. Simple and easy. Now let's look at the hukum, the ruling. Like we said, everything in your life, forget in acts of worship, everything in your life has a ruling in Islam. Can I wear a shirt? Can I wear a pink shirt? Can I wear a silk shirt? Can I wear bangles? Can I wear a thobe? Can I wear, I don't know, can I carry my phone in my right pocket compared to my left pocket? Everything there is a ruling in Islam. So zakat, all the more important. It has to have a ruling. What do you think is the ruling? We just saw this in the definition. What is the ruling for zakat?
It is mandatory.
No. It is for obligatory charity, we said. But as we will see, inshallah, the obligation comes into play based on certain conditions. Taib. So, being the third pillar of Islam, and any child will tell you, Ustad, the pillars are obligatory. All the pillars are obligatory. So that itself, alhamdulillah, it makes it obligatory, easy and simple. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in many places in the Quran, and this is one example in Surah Nur, you'll find this, what shall I say, conjoined kalima or statement, many places in the Quran. For those of you who read the Quran regularly, you will agree with me. It comes almost in every page, if not every other page. Establish salah and give zakat. And you will notice that the ayat does not say, or this one or any other ayat, similar ayat, does not say establish salah and fast, or establish salah and pray, and go for Hajj or Umrah. Salah is linked with zakat. The scholars of tafsir, they say this is because to heighten the importance of zakat. As salah, don't get me wrong, every pillar of Islam is important. But there is a priority, right? A person is fasting the whole month of Ramadan. MashaAllah, fantastic. Great juhud and great ikhlas and mashallah, great. But he doesn't pray a single salah. Is this fasting acceptable? No. It is not acceptable. So there is a priority. Yes, all of them are important, but there is a priority. You get the point? I'm not saying you can pray 5 times a day the whole life, but you don't fast Ramadan. No, don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to give you the relativity or the priority between these. So, aqimus salah wa atu zakat. It's an order. You establish salah and you give zakat and obey the messenger that you may receive mercy. So it's a command which makes it obligatory. Also similar ayat or another ayat in Surah Tawbah. take away from their wealth a sadaqah in order to purify them and sanctify them with it. We saw the original meaning, the Lughat al-Arabiya mana of zakat is purify, one of that, and the other one we saw was to increase or to grow. So purify how? By purifying what is left behind. And purify the people who give zakat. Surah Tawbah. What is the uniqueness of Surah Tawbah? Who knows? In the Quran, Sheikh
It
Abdullah.
don't have a Bismillah Rahman Rahim.
The Basmala doesn't appear in before Surah Tawbah. It's the only chapter in the Quran which starts without the Basmala. Now, طيب. Likewise, in the Ahadith, there are many examples. This is one of them. From Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Islam has been built on 5 pillars, and he mentioned giving zakat. Rawah Bukhari wa Muslim. We said Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma. Why? Who is Ibn Umar? What's his given name? Sheikh Abdullah.
Abdullah ibn Umar, Ustad.
Yeah, why do we say radiallahu anhuma?
Because both of them, his father and himself, are Sahabas, Ustad.
No, Jazakallah khair, Ahsan. So, his father Umar bin Khattab radiallahu an, and his son Abdullah. This hadith is narrated by Abdullah. So we say Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma for duality. Yeah, the meme with the alif is for duality. To have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or to ask Allah to be pleased with both of them, which also gives you the beauty of Islam and the beauty of this deen, that the father gets a credit. Why? Because it is tarbiyah. It's his tarbiyah which made the son what he is. So automatically the father is getting credit. Automatically, alhamdulillah. Aywa. We see many brothers, or even sisters for that matter. Yeah, this is maybe sometimes, maybe news for some sisters, if they happen to listen to this sometime. Many sisters think they don't have to pay zakat. Ustad, my husband takes care of it. Aren't you a Muslimah? Yes. Isn't the ayat we talked about, the rulings applicable to you? Yes. So why should your husband take care of it? Do you have wealth? Yes. Has it reached the threshold nisab? Yes. So why is your husband paying for it? Yeah, if the husband volunteers, there's something else. Right? But even then, I highly recommend it should not be done every year. It should not be done every year. But some sisters, they expect their husbands to pay for it. This is wrong. This is an act of worship due on each and every Muslim or Muslimah, as long as the shurut are fulfilled. Right. Many brothers or sisters, they find, or they try to find ways not to pay zakat. They love their wealth so much, and their iman is so weak. There is no fear of Allah or the last day. They avoid paying zakat. And they say, Ustad, no, I bought this diamond and this pearl, and I put this money in this bank and my wife's account, and it's not yet 1 year, and all kinds of excuses. They are, doing the Alibaba style. They're playing around, yeah. But whom are they trying to fool? The one, subhanahu wa ta'ala, above the arsh, who knows exactly what is in their hearts. He knows what they're thinking even before they think it. So whom are we trying to fool? That's one point. The second point, there is a grave warning in the Sharia for the one who does not pay zakat, even though he or she is eligible. There's one hadith mentioned in your material, so I'm putting it up here. Rawah Muslim. Any possessor of gold or silver who does not give what is due on them on the day of resurrection, plates of gold and silver will be heated for him in the hellfire, and with them will be ironed his side, his forehead, his back. Whenever they cool down, the process will be repeated during a day, the measure whereof is 50,000 years. 50,000 sana, until judgment is pronounced among his slaves. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he will be shown his final domain, either Jannah or Nar. A very dangerous hadith. a very stern warning. The problem with us, brothers, is that we look at these hadiths every day. Somebody sends a hadith on the social media, we read it, we forget about it. It doesn't have an impact. See, when you see a hadith or when you read a hadith and you know it is sahih, you should remember that this is something spoken by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he spoke it because Allah from above the 7 heavens commanded him to speak it and revealed it to him. This is something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the lips of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it should have an impact on us. But the point with us Muslims is that our hearts are so rock solid. Even when somebody dies, forget hadith, even if somebody dies, even if a family member dies, it hardly affects us. At the maximum, we'll feel sad 1 or 2 days. Then we're back to the same sins and the same disobedience of Allah, as if we will never die. Wallahi, I've seen this personally. At the graveyard, somebody is being buried, a brother, may Allah grant him Jannah. There are people gathered around, and there are some people at the outer circle of the gathering laughing. They're laughing and making jokes. I don't know what they were doing. And the person is being lowered in the grave. This is how our hearts are today. So anyway, coming back to this hadith. So from this hadith, we know the first point is that the gold and silver, there is zakat due. Because the hadith says, any possessor, anyone who owns gold and silver, who does not give what is due on them, which means there is zakat on gold and silver. So if he avoids that, he doesn't give that, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, plates of gold and silver will be heated, not in your normal gas fire, no, the fire of hell, which is 70 times more shadid, more stronger than any intense fire on earth. If you go around the earth and make the most strongest and the most intense fire, the fire of hell is 70 times worse. So these plates of gold and silver, because he didn't give zakat of gold and silver, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will heat plates of gold and silver in this fire. So very, very unbearable heat. And then his body will be pressed, will be ironed with it. His side, his forehead, his back. Not once, when the body cools down because heat dissipates, the process is repeated. Like twice, Ustad, 3 times, 10 times, 100 times. La ya Shaykh. As long as the day of judgment lasts, which is 50,000 years. One day is equal to 50,000 years of our lifetime. How we know 50,000 years? Or until judgment is pronounced. And then he is sent to hellfire or Jannah. Taib. There are some people who may deny the obligation of zakat. So we said it's obligatory, except for Islam. No, ya Ustad, I think, maybe it's mustahab, or maybe it's mubah. If you want, you can give. Or maybe you just need to give. And subhanallah, yari. I get this question. Well, really, I get this question sometimes. Ustad, I gave zakat last year. Should I also give it this year? Subhanallah. So, some people also think this, that I give it once, khalas. Why should I give it the rest of my life? So you have all kinds of people out there, right? So if somebody, what is the ruling? If someone denies the obligation of zakat, we tell him, ma salama. He's outside the fold of Islam. He is no longer considered a Muslim. Because he said zakat is not obligatory. On the other hand, if somebody refrains, he avoids giving zakat, though he knows it is obligatory. He knows it is obligatory. He's not saying no. He agrees it's obligatory, but he loves his money so much, he's avoiding it. Then he's still a Muslim, but he has committed a major sin, a kabira, a major sin. واضح بارك الله فيك. If some people group together and refrain from giving zakat, knowing its obligation, then they should be fought until they yield and pay, until they submit and pay. Where did we find this in history, in early Islam? Who knows? The last point. Please try to raise your hands if you know the answer. طيب, okay, Umar Zafar, تفضل.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sir, after Rasulullah died, and
Naam.
people afraid, they are denying to pay the zakat. At that time, Abu Bakr Raziyallahu anhu, he said he will
Naam.
fight if you not pay the zakat.
Naam, naam, naam. Jazakallah khair, barakallah fik. So this ruling is derived from that instance. Like the brother said, after the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Abu Bakr Siddiq became Khalifa Rasulullah, Taib, there were some people, Bedouins and other Arabs around Medina, who used to pay zakat to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the way they were seeing it is that, we paid to Rasulullah, but why should we pay to Abu Bakr? Rasulullah is the Prophet of Allah, so we paid it to him. So why should we give it to Abu Bakr? Or whatever reasons they had. And they refused to pay. Abu Bakr Siddiq, he decided to fight them. He was initially the only one who had this opinion. Everyone else, including the great Sahaba, Umar bin Khattab, Uthman, Ali, other great Sahaba, they all said, Ya Khalifa, Ya Khalifa Rasulullah, these people, they say La ilaha illallah. They pray 5 times a day. How can you fight them? They are Muslims. What did Abu Bakr Siddiq say? He said, Radiallahu an, if they were giving zakat to Rasulullah, the value or something equal to Hubling's cord. Hubling's cord is, when you have a camel, because those days they used to ride camels, right? And you have this rope with which you tie the camel, or it goes around the camel's knee when you park, or you get off the camel, yeah? A small piece of rope. If they were giving that much zakat to Rasulullah and they are going to deny it to me, I will fight them. So we're not talking about gold, mountains of gold and mountains of dinars and dirhams. No, even a small piece of a rope, if that zakat was being given to Rasulullah and not being given to me, I will fight them. And eventually, he was right and they were wrong. So that is the last ruling. Taib. So that was definition, and that was ruling. Benefits. What are the benefits of giving zakat? First and foremost, brothers, this is an act of worship. It's a pillar of Islam, act of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is enough for us. As a Muslim, that is why we do it. Samyana wa atana. That is why we do it. Everything else is secondary. All these points, helping the poor and needy because you give zakat to the poor and needy. It purifies a person from greed, because when a wealthy person gives zakat, his heart, inshallah, is purified from greed. It teaches him generosity, how to distribute, how to give wealth. Naam. It keeps the financial cycle rolling, or the wealth circulating in the society. Naam. Allah increases, blesses the wealth, purifies the heart of the recipient, the one who's receiving, from envy and jealousy against the rich. Because a person who's poor, and he sees his brothers riding cars, limousines, 4-wheel drives, there is shaitan always there, and there could be some envy, jealousy coming into his heart. This gets purified when he receives from that same brother his zakat. But again, 2 to 6 are good points, important points, valid benefits. But number 1 is the most important. That we do it because we want to please Allah through this act of worship. Everything else is also valid, yes, and also important, but prioritizing number 1 is more critical. Type. So these are the benefits. There could be others, maybe as well, but these, let's say, are the most important ones, which the scholars have given in terms of distributing zakat. Conditions for zakat. Shurut. We said zakat has conditions. First and foremost, it is due only from a Muslim. A non-Muslim, a kafir, because he has rejected the first pillar of Islam, which is shahada, the shahadatain, the second, third, fourth doesn't matter. It's not required from him because he didn't even enter the gate of Islam. So the first condition, shart, is that the person who is giving zakat or on whom it is due, he should be a Muslim. And as you can see in the brackets there, it's eligible for the male, the female, the old, the young, the sane, and the insane. You'll see here, brothers, a difference between this condition for zakat and a similar condition for salah. For salah also, the first condition is Islam. But what is the difference? Who can tell me? You did salah in level 1.
It is also obligatory on insane, while salah is not obligatory on insane.
Now, so like the brother said, the difference here is sanity. Salah, we said, it's obligatory as a condition only for those who are sane. Once someone who is mentally challenged, who is insane, there is no salah for him because he does not know what he is saying or doing. But for zakat, even the insane person, as long as he has that wealth, and obviously that wealth will be under the custody of somebody else, right? Somebody will be a guardian for that wealth. He will have to take out his zakat calculated and give it away. Likewise, the young as well. So even if a person is young, an orphan sometimes, yeah, orphans can also be rich. Not every orphan has to be poor. So orphan is somebody whose parents are dead or the father is dead. Yeah, he may have money, which is under the custody or the caretaking of somebody else, a relative or someone. So that person should take zakat from him, calculate it, and give it off every lunar year. The person should be free. Hur, al-hur, freedom. So there is no zakat required from slaves because they are under the ownership of their master. Their wealth and their bodies belong to the master. Number 3 is something which we call nisab. Nisab in English you can translate, for example, as threshold or a cutoff limit. Right? So if the wealth is above the nisab value, zakat is due on the whole wealth. Again, I get this question. For example, let's say 85 grams gold is the nisab. So somebody will say, Ustad, I have 90 grams of gold. Should I give zakat only on 5 grams? No, ya Sheikh, Jazakallah khair. You have to give zakat on the whole 90 grams. This is only a cutoff value to say that you are eligible for zakat. It's a condition. It's a shart that if your wealth is 90 grams of gold, now you have, even if it's 86, zakat is due on you. On the whole 86, not on 1 gram. Rather, it's a cutoff value. And we will see more about this when you look at the forms of wealth and everything next week, inshallah. Haul. Haul is, or sana, is 1 lunar year, a time period. That's also a condition. So not only a person should be a Muslim, he should be free, he should have the wealth above the nisab value, and it should have remained as such for 1 lunar year. Not Gregorian. We are Muslims. We follow the Hijri calendar. We do not follow the calendar of the polytheists. And all these months in the Gregorian calendar are named after idols and idol worships. So we do not follow this. So 1 lunar year, Hijriya. Number 5 is an important point. That this person on whom zakat is due, he should be the sole and complete owner of the wealth. In most conditions, there is 1 or 2 exceptions. I will tell you later as we go through, or maybe you have questions, we can answer at that point. There are 1 or 2 exceptions to that, but generally speaking, the person should be the sole and complete owner of the wealth. Then zakat becomes due on him. Okay, this is the same point. But I just want to highlight the point number 4, the nisab. There are certain exceptions to that for the Hijri year, sorry. Generally speaking, Hijri year, 1 Hijri year, 1 lunar year. But there are certain exceptions which we will see when we look at the details of wealth and forms of wealth. Last point, point number 5, some details we want to discuss and then maybe stop with that, inshallah. When we say sole and complete ownership of the wealth, I put some examples there, right? In actual use cases or actual real life cases. Point A, if a person is in debt, what is debt? Which means Abu Basim, I took a loan. Let's say, for example, who is here? Muhammad Hussein. Muhammad Hussein, the first person in that list for me, he gave me a loan. I needed money, he gave me a loan. So I am in debt to him. Right? So I need to pay him back. So the scholars say that should be paid back first. The zakat is given on the remaining wealth. So when 1 year finishes, one lunar year, right? And I have some wealth, I pay off the zakat, the debt first, the loan amount money back to Muhammad Hussein. And then what is left, if that is beyond the nisab and had remained as such for one lunar year, I give zakat on that amount. I'm just taking money as an example, but this applies for anything. Point B, zakat is due yearly on money lent that will probably be paid back. What do I mean? Same example, I took a loan from Muhammad Hussein. Right? Now, Muhammad Hussein gave me that money. And he expects it to be paid back because he saw Abu Basim fine, inshallah. He's having a job, he's getting a regular salary, he seems to be doing okay. So Muhammad Hussein thinks, yes, inshallah, I will get it back. Abu Basim will pay it back. In this case, Muhammad Hussein has to pay zakat on that amount which he gave me every year because it's his money. He is the actual owner, given to me as a loan or as a trust, amana. That's point B. Point C, a similar point, but a bit different. Zakat is not due yearly on money lent that will probably not be paid back. What do I mean? The same example. Muhammad Hussein gave me money. He lent me money. I needed money. I took a loan. Now, things changed. La qadar Allah. He sees that Abu Basim seems not to be in a condition to pay back the money. So it's like maybe I'm avoiding him, or la qadar Allah, I lost my job or whatever. Yeah, or I'm going to tough times, rough times, a lot of mortgages and this and that, la qadar Allah. So Muhammad Hussein is seeing that Abu Basim, he cannot pay back this money. Or he thinks that this is a judgment. It all boils down to his assessment of the situation. In this case, he does not pay zakat at all because it's like that money is gone. Khalas. However, after 10 years, 5 years, whatever, alhamdulillah, Abu Basim, he has blessed with wealth from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he pays back the money to Muhammad Hussein. In this case, Muhammad Hussein gives 1 year zakat only, not for all the previous years. Wadah, barakallahu fiqh, clear? So these were some points regarding zakat. I think we need to stop now, but don't worry, I will do this point again next week, inshallah. Just remind me when we start the class. I will cover this point again because you may have questions on this point. It could be a bit confusing for some brothers. So not an issue. We'll repeat this next week, inshallah, and then continue with the forms of wealth, inshallah, next week. Any questions? Quickly, 1 or 2 questions on what we covered so far.
Ustad, will we be covering the nisab amount?
No, next week, inshallah, next week. Forms of wealth, everything, inshallah.
Barakallah.
Any other question? Last question? No? Khalas, next week I think you'll have more questions because of the forms of wealth and how much zakat to give and so on, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. We'll see you, inshallah, the next week to continue. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Barakallah.